Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Smita Tiwari from Indian Council of World Affairs, New Delhi. Today we are going to talk on module Post-Independence Emigration of Professionals and Students to the West from the paper Sociology of Indian Diaspora. So students, let's see what we are going to learn in this module. An overview of the nature of emigration during post-independence period and a brief history, the trends of emigration of students and professionals, the reason of the emigration of students and professionals from India, the implications of the student migration from India. In the era of globalization, there is a free flow of people, technology, and the capital across national boundaries at bare minimum span of time. With the emergence of knowledge, economy, and technological development, the global labor market has seen an enormous demand for knowledge, skill, and talent. The expansion of service sector and multinational companies has extended the scope of employment and the skilled workers and professionals. During the 1990s, the service sector boom has raised the demand of skilled workers and professionals across the world. Education and employment are two sides of the same coin. Therefore, the global exposure for the education has become important in the competitive employment market. During the initial decades after the independence, the student and professionals emigrated to the Western developed countries, which was a prominent phenomena in student mobility. Since 1990s, the phenomena has been continued with a new dimension and scale. Since many years, India ranked the second largest student sending countries in the world. According to UNESCO UIS 2013, the total number of Indian mobile students was 181,872 for higher education abroad. Student and professional migrants. The students and professionals are two different emigrant groups having different meaning and scope. The movement of the students across national borders is considered as a type of migration, especially for undergraduate or postgraduate programs. Students who are not the usual resident of their country of study, that is, those who have recently moved to the destination host country from somewhere else. The students of undergraduate or postgraduate program pursue longer duration of time than other programs, whereas the professionals has to provide service and therefore they have to spend long duration of time in the host land. Basically, a professional occupies paid occupation, especially one that involves prolonged training and a formal qualification. The professionals have a professional association, cognitive base, institutionalized training, licensing, work autonomy, intellectual excellence, special power and prestige, and systematic rewards, incentives, pattern, etc. Therefore, a professional is a member of a which profession which requires particular knowledge and skills to perform that job. Conceptualization of student and professional migration. The student and professional migration can be conceptualized under following theoretical perspective. Student migrants versus professional migrants. International students are seen as a potential labor force for host country, which can be trained in the appropriate manner required for host country, while professionals are trained at the host land need proper training before employment. Student migration is a subset of professional migration. International students are seen as a stock of highly skilled personnel in some European countries. The visa regulations are relaxed, and, for instance, in Germany, giving international students the opportunity to stay for one more year to search for employment when they complete their studies. Student and professional migration is a product of globalization. Student and professional mobility has been analyzed as a product of globalization, both generally as flows of people accelerate between integrating economies, and more specifically as national of higher education sectors research structure around internationally defined standards and training appropriate to a global economy. Globalization, with its ability to facilitate the internationalization of higher education system, helps countries to transfer student and professionals other than capital, technology, and resources. Youth mobility, cultures, and geographies of consumption. This kind of movement is not determined by only economic factor but rather by cultural and other social factors of host country to observe international students and professionals. International students and professionals usually have experienced different locals. As a result, they have a greater agency in self-identification. According to this perspective, reflected in the study of Findlay et al., transnational experiences are expressed itself as various forms of capital, particularly social and cultural ones. These international students are seen as migratory elite who are ready and enthusiastic to move and unrestricted to transforms in their environment. Historical phase. The emigration of workers from India has a long history. However, the nature, trend, and scope of Indian emigration has transformed after independence period. The educated people from India moved to Western countries, likely for higher education and professional activities. Since post-independence period, there was quite a few number of Indians who had emigrated to Western countries, mainly Europe and America. They are mainly doctors, scientists, architects, entrepreneurs, lawyers, and so on. They generally belong to capitalist families, generally elite section of the society. However, after a couple of decades, the trend of emigration has been shifted to unskilled and semi-skilled labor migration as well. During 1970s, a significant number of unskilled labor migration took place from India to the West Asia. As a result of the oil boom, there was a phenomenal increase in emigration of unskilled and semi-skilled labor from India to the GCC countries, namely United Arab Emirates, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, Oman, etc. The major unskilled and skilled workers comprise of helper, housemaid, mason, cook, tailor, salesman, carpenter, technician, driver, a plumber, etc. They are mostly casual laborer working under temporary nature of work, having low wages and harsh working conditions. This particular trend of labor migration is still continue even today for seeking work opportunities in Gulf countries. During the phase of post-1970s, the internal migration of skilled workers took place from India to developed countries, mainly English-speaking countries. The favorable destinations were Britain, in Europe, and Australia, Canada, and the USA. However, the UK was the main destination for Indian emigrants. The shortage of health workers in the UK has triggered the demand for health workers from abroad. This has initiated the supply of doctors and nurses from India to the UK. The reason influencing a huge out of flux of health workers were firstly colonial ties between the two countries, and secondly, advantage of the Indian medical professionals educated in English language. The increasing demand of the health workers in United Kingdom was fulfilled by the Indian doctors and nurses. Gradually, the emigration of doctors, nurses and engineers and IT professionals was started to various other European countries as well. Today, Indian diaspora in these countries are effectively contributing in the fields of medicine, engineering and IT professions, etc. Historical phase. During 1990s period, the liberal economy has promulgated the emigration of skilled workers and professionals. With the expansion of IT firms and multinational companies, the employment opportunities have opened up for the skilled and trained workers from different parts of the world. Economic reason is one of the main reasons behind the migration. There are other reasons such as education, business, better livelihoods and marriage, etc. Many Indian professionals emigrated to the US, the UK, France and Singapore for better employment opportunities. In this relevance, the idea of world system theory posits the transnational division of labor, which divides the world economy into core and periphery countries. He theorized that the developed countries as forming the core and developing countries as periphery, wherein developing countries exporting labor to the developed countries. The whole idea of skill migration postulates upon the meta-theoretical foundation of Immanuel Wallerstein, who developed the world system theory. The question rose by prominent scholar Jagdish Bhagwati on brain drain are pertinent here. In the globalization, it is contextualized that whether this phenomena is brain drain or brain gain for developing countries. This has been debated under skill migration from India by prominent scholar Binod Khadria. Emigration of students to the West. International students are considered as pool of talent and skills. The host countries are facilitating education and skill training to the foreign students so as to receive their talents and services into their employment sector. Today, the movement of students is a global phenomenon. Under the GATS framework, knowledge has become a market commodity which can be sold, bought, or traded in the global market. The knowledge transcends national boundaries faster than the capital and people. Therefore, knowledge has become key to development and has immense role in socio-economic advancement. In this relevance, cross-border higher education has become an important mode of globalizing higher education, and therefore student mobility has a greater role in the internationalization of higher education. The international student mobility is not a new phenomena, but it was started since colonial era. However, the rate of student mobility has increased in the globalization. The cross-border students' mobility can be discussed broadly into three phases. First, emigration of students before independence, that is 1900 to 1950s. Second, emigration of students after independence, that is 1950s to 1980s. And third, emigration of students during liberalization, emigration of students before independence. History of student mobility. During the colonial period, the emigration of students for higher education was very limited phenomena. The students crossing national boundaries for higher education were belonging to elite families. The emigration of students of this stage is therefore can be understood as class migration, where a few chunk of people from elite group moved to foreign countries. During this period, the imperial governments used to facilitate platform for selected students to pursue higher education abroad. The motive behind the role of the colonial government was to develop and supportive administrative cadres in the colonies. It was assumed that the graduates would return to the homeland to serve the colonial administration with developed skills and values of the colonial rulers. The search for global talents through knowledge economy initiated the cross-border student mobility. Therefore, the mobility of students for higher education is increasing since last 2 decades. Globalization basically implies the free movement of goods, services, and people across borders intended in an integrated world economy. Internationalization of education implies the imparting of knowledge, skills, and talents at the international level which have universal appeal and application. It provides knowledge, course, program, and curriculum to make students in different countries and regions. Under the General Agreement on Trade and Tariff framework, there are four modes of mobility, that is institutional mobility, teacher mobility, course program mobility, and student mobility. A large number of Indian students go to the US, the UK, Australia, Canada, Germany, France, and Singapore, etc. The US attracts the largest number of foreign students every year. Rather, in the past few decades, the movement of Indian students has been in more diverse directions like the European Union, for example, Germany and France, and Oceania, for example, Australia and New Zealand. Reasons for student mobility. The student mobility is influenced by various reasons. The students expect better employment opportunities and influential professional networks while selecting the destination countries for higher education. They seek benefits in terms of employment and academic prestige. Added to this, the continuing flow of students from Indian to developed countries is also due to the perception that the quality of the standards of higher education studies offered in foreign universities are superior in comparison to what they have offered in India. The academic prestige of the host country is another consideration for the prospective candidates who seek admission abroad. The scholarship programs are playing essential role in student mobility for education. These programs attract foreign students for studying abroad at low educational expenditure. In a highly competitive world, the global exposure for higher education play significant role in the employment sector. Apart from all academic parameters, the visa policy also influences the entrance of foreign students in host country. The visa policy can either permit or restrict the entrance of foreign students in any host country. The visa rules has to be liberal and favorable to students so that they can easily go to destination country. In case of the US and Australia, the liberal visa policies attracts Indian students and professionals. So students, let us summarize what we have learned in this module. During 1990s, the liberalized policy of Government of India has initiated its integration into world economy. The globalized economy has preceded the growth of cross-country emigration of skilled professionals and talent at increasing pace. Globalization has reinforced the demand and supply factor of market economy. This has reinforced the interdependence of developing countries and developed countries on each other in terms of the former providing large number of professionals. The aspiration for better employment and successful career are the major motivations for the emigration of skilled professionals to the West. The Indian community is one of the highest earning and best educated groups, achieving eminence in business, information technology, the health sector, media, and food and entertainment industries. India's development effort can be significantly multiplied by enhancing prospects of mobility. First, by increasing the prospect of Indian professionals at the global level. Second, both increasing the skills levels of individuals who travel abroad as well as level of those who work in the close coordination with them when they return to India, brain gain that we call. And third, through remittances sent by Indian professionals to their families back in India. Thank you.